Hello, everybody, and welcome along to One Hub Racing Season 27. We are back after our break week, and the drivers are raring to go as we head to a circuit where the real F1 drivers went to earlier on today. It is, of course, the Dutch Grand Prix at the circuit. Zandvoort, will we see a Dutch winner, or will someone be able to spoil that? We'll have to wait and see. My name is Jesper. I'll be your commentator throughout this evening's race. Unfortunately, Mike can't make it tonight. He is at a birthday party with his mum. But joining me, I've got a special guest joining us in the commentary box for the very first time after having a fantastic P2 race. It is Salo. Salo, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you very much for having me in the commentary box today. I'm excited to be here and commentate alongside your wonderful self.
Yes, indeed. And I'm sure the drivers are raring to get going. We almost got a full lobby, which is great to see. I think it would help if I would send you an invite as well, so you can get into the lobby too. But last time out, we were in Canada and we saw Ben Mills take the victory last time out. But he is not the one that leads the championship. It is J. Cole that leads the championship on 27 points, 3 points clear of Axelock. So both of our race winners not in the top two of the championship. But Marco, getting P3, did not have a great race last time out in Canada either. So pretty much two drivers that have not won a race solo are in the top two.
That's absolutely wild, isn't it? And it's amazing to see kind of how that can play out. And I believe that sort of thing happened last season as well, where like Rich in Tier 2 didn't win many races, if any, and was still in contention for the championship. So you never know what's going to happen, even if you're not getting those race wins.
Yeah, and I do remember with quite a few seasons ago in one tier, the overall champion did not win a race. So it is possible to win a championship without winning a race. So, of course, J. Cole, we'll talk a bit more about J. Cole in a minute because he was called into the driver's press conference and we got a lovely image for that as well. Kieran had a very good result last time out in Canada in P4 and Callum Unarmed in 5th place. He got a podium last time out, but he just missed out on the race win to Ben Mills. Those two having a brilliant fight for the win last time out in Canada. I feel we can see that rivalry grow from many seasons to come now.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see all these rivalries play out, and there's so much competition in this tier. It's absolutely crazy. So it's going to be wild to see how they fight against each other and see if the rivalries are going to switch it up a little bit today, and maybe we're going to see some different people having big battles.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we saw Nick and Roadbike fighting with each other last week. Of course, we haven't seen much of how the other drivers could do. Of course, Furious retired early on in the race. Lukey, of course, was very brilliant in the wet, but not as good in the dry. So there are drivers that are capable of scoring really good points, but did not get a good result anyway last time out. But we are at Zandvoort this weekend, a track which was first used in Formula One back in the 1970s, but it was first opened in 1948 and it was originally 4.2 kilometers. It's still 4.259 kilometers with a few changes. If you're wondering what the circuit is like, and some people have asked me this, it is It's described by the drivers, really quick, pretty insane, crazy, and old school. And it is a high downforce circuit. But as I said in the pre-race show with myself and Colin earlier, even though it's a high downforce circuit, expect to see some drivers, I think, Salo, run lower wings tonight.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of space for people to be able to vary their setups a little bit. I mean, I very much needed quite a lot of high downforce for myself, and I know that a bunch of people on the grid are going to be going slightly lower wings, which is really going to help in those overtaking spots, especially as it's really difficult to overtake in that middle sector.
Yeah, the middle sector, I would have to say, is probably the trickiest to get right due to the fact that you've got those tight curves. You've got those curves where you could potentially end up in a spin and it could be game over. So, I mean, it's something that the drivers will, of course, keep an eye on. But qualifying has just got underway. And luckily, with our adaptive weather system, we have got a completely dry qualifying and a completely dry race, which is always great to see, which is good news for myself and Salo, but also all the drivers that are going to be racing this evening. Unfortunately, my stream deck is not working tonight, probably because it updated my OBS and the plugin is not being recognised. So I'm going to have to do it the old-fashioned way this evening. So we've got 18 drivers, a few drivers unable to make it tonight, and pretty much almost everyone is going out there on the circuit on a set of the soft compounder tyres. What lap time do you expect to see in terms of lap times for the P1 tiers? Pole was a 109.2 in the P2 tier by Papa Squanch.
Yes, exactly. And I'm expecting the first few laps to come through in the low 109s, but then I would not be surprised to see the pole lap somewhere around the 108 and 0.5 kind of area. These people are very, very quick, and some of them incredibly talented around this racetrack as well. So I very much wouldn't be surprised to see kind of getting towards the low 108s.
Yeah, I think I know the people like Callum, Marco, Ben Mills, I think I could definitely see them go into the 108s. But let's go on board with someone who has just started their lap time. I believe the first person on a lap, I might be wrong, is the one and only Pelzy, as he makes his way towards turn 6, as he short shift down into 6th gear. Make sure that you aim to the right-hand side and clip the curb just a tiny bit. You don't want to do it too much, because otherwise you'll get quite a bit of grass on your tyres, as Pelzy does it quite nicely. He makes his way towards turn 9 and 10, very understeer. You keep a tight line if you can. DRS wide open. Some people have made quite a few overtakes around here, but again, it's a lot harder to get that right. For turn 11 and 12 now, really tight and twisty chicane coming up as he got a bit squirmy heading towards penultimate corner. That's not going to give him a good exit heading towards this banking. Do not use ERS here until you get to the start-finish straight. He's hardly got any ERS to burn, so we'll see what Pelzer can do to start his lap time. It is going to be a 109.6. Now, we said someone will get into the 108s, and wow! Colin set a banker lap with a 109 in practice, and he's already into the 108 in qualifying already when it actually counts. Good on Colin, and Casper slots him down into P2.
That is an absolute monster lap really early on from Colin, with already being in the 108. And as Marco comes through, just pipping him also into the late 108. So this is really going to be hotting up very quickly. With the track evolution, those times are really going to tumble.
Yeah, and the times are tumbling right now, actually. It's Ben Mills goes fastest at the moment. What could Collie do? He slots himself into P8 at the moment. We've got more drivers on a lap time, including one of the Williams of Luki. He slots himself into P10 with a 109.8. He said his best lap time was a 109.6, but he's not that far of his PB, so I expect him to be even quicker. Here comes Callum unarmed. He is going to miss a few races this season, so we need to score quite a few more points this season in order to make sure that he helps with the constructors and he can still be in the championship fight. We'll see how he does in sector 2. Let me get the lap data up because I can't really see that on my screen. There we go. As he clipped a little bit of the curb there, we'll see how he does in sector 2. 48.1 middle sector. As we saw someone reset the track there, I believe that was one of the Hasses that had a bit of an off. That might be Catherine. Catherine does have an engine penalty this weekend. Of course, drivers have to take an engine and a gearbox penalty this season. Not the same per race, of course, and Catherine is the first driver to do so, but Callum on arms, that mistake in the final sector definitely costing him a little bit there. A 109.1 for Callum, but not that far behind the likes of Casper and Colin, though. Very close grid so far.
Yeah, it's incredibly close, and I only expected to get closer at this point. I'm surprised, actually, how few people have kind of hit that late 108. However, they are in the very low 109s already, so I can expect them to hot up a little bit. Bit of a shame to see Catherine in the gravel there just a minute ago. I was expecting to see something nice from her, so there's still plenty of time, and we'll see her times tumble soon, I'm sure. But Ben Mills, Marco and Colin looking very fast right now.
Yeah, and Colin even said that he was hoping for a dry wet race, and luckily he's got a dry race, so he's probably very relieved that he's in a very good position as well. He did say quite a few things in the pre-race interviews. I'm trying to find his pre-race interviews, but I don't think he's done one, or I didn't get all the pre-race interviews done in a time. But all the drivers are making their way into the pit lane right now, and from experience, 4 runs is possible around here as long as you go out straight away. I actually bought my 3rd run because I bottled it, but it is one of those tracks where if you go out straight away and then go out again and you don't get traffic, 4 runs is doable.
Yes, 4 runs is absolutely doable, and I feel like these guys are going to want to try and maximize every millisecond they can count on. So they're going to be aiming to go for as many runs as physically possible, I think, using up all 4 of those sets of soft tires and leaving them all over the racetrack as they try and make these times tumble even further.
Yes, and I think it's going to be a 1:08.5. That's going to be pole position. That is going to be my prediction. I'm sure other people may beg to differ, but Ricardo has just finished his run. I think we got more people just started their run, as Casper has had a bit of a moment on the exit of turn, middle of turn 3 on turn 2 onto turn 3, so that might have compromised his lap time. We got, I think, the Alpine just ahead on a lap. Purple sector 1 though. He's 2 tenths up on his previous best, so that probably didn't cost him that much. We'll see how he does in this part of the lap. He takes a very wide entry through this next. Oh, that's not good.
Huge snap of oversteer. And I thought he was going to bail out of the lap when you mentioned the previous little mistake, but he kept the ERS mode on overtake, carried on pushing, and unfortunately just made that little mistake with a big old drift, but he kept hold of it. He's not caused any damage, so he's got plenty of time to go for another run.
That is absolutely frustrating, but we still have drivers that are on runs as we speak right now. As Colin, every time I go on board with a driver, they bin it. So Colin will have to go again and go into the pits, I reckon. Marco's on a run right now. Can he slot himself into pole position and beat Ben Mills? The answer to that is no, but he does improve on his lap time. Callum on armed is on an out lap. We also got Chris on a fly. Nope, he's not. He aborted his run, so he goes in into the pit lane. What can Nick do? He goes up to the line. 6th fastest, not that far behind Callum and Casper. That was very tidy lap from him. One of the Red Bulls is on a lap. Roadbite is in 10th, but he just started his run, so there he goes again. So, and Axelot, P3. Now, I was speaking to Colin earlier on, and me and Cole said he one of the drivers to watch. And Salah, look at that lap time from Ben Mills, 108.3. I predicted the 108.5, but Ben has just gone and beaten that.
Yeah, I genuinely thought a 5 would be a fair shout for a pole position lap, but 108.39 is absolutely disgusting lap. He's an absolute rocket ship, is Ben Mills. So I mean, he's looking like a real big challenger right now. But as for who else is going to be up on the front row, it really is anybody's game right now. These guys are so close together. With the likes of Callum and Nick, for example, exactly the same time, 109.158. It's really anybody's game. I wouldn't like to put money on who's going to be on the top spot and second.
I think first, second, and third is going to be between 3 protagonists, in my opinion, and one of them is on your screen right now, Callum, as he has aborted his run, so he's going to come and have to dive into the pits. And with it being a short lap, if you get your lap wrong, you have plenty of time to come into the pits anyway, so that is what he is going to be doing. Lukey is in ninth at the moment. He's going to go to the pits soon. Anyone else on a run? Curry was, but he's invalidated and he's had a moment in the final corner. Commentators curses galore tonight, I could tell you that. It's not normally like this, by the way. Alexa is on the middle of his run right now. He's not going to have enough time to get a fourth lap in, I think, but he's going to get a second lap in right now. Nicely done through the middle sector. He takes a tight line, makes it wide, coming out of turn 10, now in towards turn 11. See, he's about a few 100s down, so I think he's going to work on consistency at this point. If I was him, maybe trying to board this one and potentially go again. He exits into turns 13 and 14, the banking. Very beautiful, but if you use too much ERS here, it could go and send you into a spin like I nearly did in the race earlier on. Alexa comes up to the line, and it's going to be a 1:09.2 for Alexa. Very, very tidy from him, but he knew that he can go a lot quicker indeed.
Yeah, very nice tidy lap from Alexa. I was just watching that on board. He kept it really tight. And it looks very much like there's time to find for him. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does in his next run or two. But now I'm just on board with Casper Klein, who's halfway through his hot lap by the look of it. And he's looking he's quite quick right now, nice and tidy, as he goes through the DRS stage on the back of the corner. Oh, no, he's backed out by the look of it, yeah.
He's aborted. I don't know why he's aborted, but I'm guessing he wants to have enough time to go out and do another run. But let's go on board with Colin. Now, Colin, do not bin it, please, because the last time I was on board with you, you binned it. So we'll see how he does heading in towards the middle sector. He's on a 1:08.9 at the moment. It's going to take a miracle for him to get into the 1:08.3s, but if he gets it to near Marco territory, he'll be very, very happy with that. He's a few 100s down, so I think that mistake in the middle sector cost him a little bit. And again, commentators curse. Through turns 13 and 14, fifth gear on entry, then up the gears, 6th, 7th, 8th gear, uses a bit of that curb. He's got a bit of grass, actually, and understandably, he goes into the pit lane and aborts his run. His teammate Nick, though, is on a run, so is Furious on a run too. Both the Aston Martins are on a run. Let's go on board with Chris, actually. Where is he? There he is. Chris is a few 8,000s down, unless he finds a miraculous final sector. Unfortunately, it's not going to be a good lap for him. Chris goes 16th. What can Axelot do? He stays in third, but he goes out on another run.
Yeah, and there's traffic absolutely everywhere right now. All of the cars trying to get absolutely everything they can out of their tyres and all of their runs. Marco coming through the final couple of corners to just try and finish his lap. He's looking very tidy at the moment, and hopefully he's going to be able to improve just a little bit.
I think there's plenty.
And he does improve, but it doesn't quite take him up to pole position.
No, 1:08.7 though for Marco, so he's in the 1:08. Unlike some other people, as Nick is almost in the 1:08. He's in the 1:09.1, so he's only a few thousandths quicker than Ricardo. So quite a close grid in the midfield. Axelot, purple sector too. He is a 10th up on that. The final sector can make or break you. So we'll see what the Axelot could do. I'm trying to go on board with him, but I'll keep pressing the wrong keyboard button. Here comes Axelot. Could it be pole? No, but he's best of the rest right now with P2.
Yeah, he's unseated Marco, and he's going to be looking for blood after that one. Marco's definitely going to be wanting to improve if he's able to, if he's got enough time. But a great lap from Axelot, and I think he's going to be one to watch today. He's looking very, very quick. And I know that he's pushing himself to try and improve as much as possible to try and get those race wins.
And I even said to him earlier, if he doesn't get a race win today, you could blame me. As Collie goes up to the line, he doesn't improve on his time, and he stays in P10. And I think we just got a few more people to do their final run before they go into the pits again. 4 minutes left to go on the clock. It's Ben Mills on top with a 1:08.396. not closely followed because there's a big gap between himself and Axelot in P2 with a 108.745. Marco in third. Then it is Callum in fourth, Colin in fifth. J. Cole, your championship leader, comes into the pits. He's on a 108.998. He's come fresh from his commentary. So he wants to see what he could do down in SIP after just commentating on the P2 race. Yes, everyone else is going to dive it into the pits now, which just gives us a great opportunity to talk about what people are thinking about this track. Axelot thinks it's a good track for himself. The pace is good. Ben says he feels like he always does well here, and he'll make sure he'll get up to speed during qualifying, and he's feeling good on the back of Canada because he just came up with a race win, which is always great to see. Callum Unarmed wanted rain, but that wasn't going to happen, but he likes this fun circuit. J. Cole said he enjoys driving the circuit, but overtaking basically never happens. That's a common thing based on the pre-race interviews. Overtaking hardly ever happens unless you can be very brave. We had no safety cars in both tiers today. So if you want to get a good result here today, you've got to get good qualifying.
Absolutely. And I mean, the fact that everybody's kept it so clean around this racetrack, which is really quite close, and the runoff puts you in the grass immediately. So the fact that there was no safety cars really is a testament to how well people are driving at the moment. It's absolutely astonishing.
Yeah, I don't think we had any retirements in P2, I believe. If I'm not... Actually, no, we had one. Never mind. We had one. So that was quite impressive that we only had one retirement in P2. Will we see the same here with... I think we just saw someone join the lobby. We had 18, now we had 19. So someone did join the lobby as we saw someone improve. That was Casper that slots himself into P5. I apologise if I did not see his lap time, but he's not going to have enough time to go again with 1 minute and 50 on the clock. Ben Mills is going out on a run now. We'll see if he's on a push lap. He is on a push lap, so we'll see what he could do. It is quite common for all drivers to use medium and then overtake. Hot lap around here just makes the car slower, and if you go on Sim Racing Setup, it actually tells you what ERS modes to use during qualifying, and it tells you when to use medium, overtake and hot lap. Ben Mills takes that very, very nicely indeed as he makes his way through into turns 11 and 12. Catherine can't improve on her lap time, so she retires. She does have an engine and grid penalty, so she will be at the back anyway. What could Ben Mills do as he slots himself through fifth gear, through the banking, past the Ferris wheel, which is absolutely beautiful, by the way. Ben goes up to the line and he aborts his run, and that is it for Ben Mills in qualifying.
Well, that surprised me, but I guess he wasn't improving. And I know that the likes of Casper will be kicking himself because on that last lap, final corner, he got some grass on his tyres, and that will have taken some momentum out of him. But we've got a lot of traffic out here. Everybody's on a hot lap right now. And they're going to be weaving in and out of each other as they try to improve even further. But I think it's going to be a tall order for people to take that time out of Ben Mills.
Yep, it is. So for him, Ben Mills messing up on that lap, probably not going to cost him too much. Colin sorts himself into P5 exactly the same time as this fellow Welshman. Callum Unarmed in P4, but Callum Unarmed is not improving that much. We've got people that are just about to start their final lap. Collie being one of them. Halsey just about to finish his lap time. His teammate not here tonight, but what can he do on his own in ERT? Slots himself to P14. He just makes the checker flag, so if he had enough ERS, he could go again. We've got two of the Alpines on a run. Furious can't improve. He goes in to the pit lane, and I didn't see where the other Alpine is. He goes into the pits as well. J. Cole and Callum Unarmed are on laps. J. Cole slots himself into 7th. He doesn't improve. Callum, what can he do? He slots himself into 4th, but he does not improve on his lap time. 5,000 slower than his previous best. Axelot, I didn't see his middle sector time, but can he improve? Doesn't look like it. Stays 2nd. Marco is the only man that can stop Ben Mills in his tracks to get pole position. Takes the shortest run to the line. What's it going to be? Improves on his lap time, but not position. Remains in P2. Colin remains in P5. Collie, Pelzy, Lukey, and... Well, I think Pelzy's not improving. Lukey's not improving. So I think it's just Collie and Curie. Curie improves to 14th, and Collie improves to 6th. 6th place. Very impressive. So it is Ben Mills on pole position for today's Dutch Grand Prix. Very impressive from the Williams driver. What do you think?
Absolutely. That is an absolutely crazy lap from Ben Mills. He's got some pace around here. But the time difference between second place down all the way to something like 8th is incredibly close. You're looking at 1.5 to 2 tenths between all of them. There's been some very stiff competition. I think the race is going to be incredibly exciting.
We'll go for your order then. As of now, of course, Catherine does have a time penalty, as is a few other drivers. So Ben Mills on pole with Marco in second, Axelot third, Callum fourth, Colin fifth, Collie sixth, Casper seventh, Nick eighth, J. Cole ninth, Roadbike 10th, Furious 11th, Kieran 12th, Ricardo 13th. Then we got Curie, Alexa, Pelzy, Lukey, Chris, and then Catherine. Round up your grid then for today. Since Catherine's at the grid anyway, that is going to be your final grid for today's Dutch Grand Prix. It's quite a few surprises up there, but the story of the show, or the biggest surprise for me, Axelot up there with Marco and Ben and Callum, which is really, really great to see. He does like this track, and when he was asked about his expectations, he said he needs to be lucky to get in the contention for here. Contention for the win, but a podium could be on the cards, he said. So he doesn't think the win is possible, but he wants a podium.
And I don't blame him. At this moment in time, Axelot being in second position, only 3 points behind J. Cole right now. So it's all to play for in the championship with the likes of Axelot. And getting that second position, starting on the front row, is an excellent position to set him up for success. And Marco also on 24 points, equal with Axelot. It's a very challenging championship to call so early on, but there's not much to separate them, so it's going to be a big fight today, I think, for as many points as possible.
Yes, and P1 is pretty much quite getting close again, just like P2 with the midfield. So it's going to be very exciting. Now, the drivers are in a dummy lobby at the moment. So the drivers will be asked to retire and then go into the lobby just for the lobby restart. Because, of course, we've got grid penalties to apply and engine penalties to apply. We do have some Shears reports incident. I'm just trying to see. So Curry's got a 10-place grid penalty because he was a lap down, and he tried to unlap himself multiple times, and he caused quite a bit of carnage there as well. And obviously Catherine getting a 3-place grid penalty from round 1, and she wasn't here in round 2, so she gets one. Loki got his 10-second time penalty removed because he got an unfair penalty because Curry spun, and of course he would have lost time if he didn't get past, and he got an unfair penalty because of that. A few others, 5-second time penalty was added to Alexa's time last week, and plenty of other penalties were given out. But 2 grid penalties today, and Curry and Catherine will be starting near the back of the grid. Any thoughts going into the race? Because like we saw in P3 and P2, we could have varying strategies here this evening.
Yeah, I think the strategy calls are going to be interesting. It'll be interesting to see whether anybody's going to opt to take the soft tyres at any point during this race, because they're very quick, but they go off very quickly. So they'll only get 5 or 6 laps out of them unless they're incredibly confident and can keep hold of them nicely. So I'm expecting to see another kind of standard process of 2 sets of mediums and hards as we go into this race.
Yeah, I think it is going to be quite a close race between all the drivers, so we will keep an eye on that as it continues. And of course, we will do a little bit of a thank to our sponsors in just a moment. But before we do that, I was trying to find the rivalry image, but somehow I had it deleted, which was very, very annoying. But calling to the rivalries this week was Nick and Marco. Of course, Nick and Marco got caught up in an incident last week, but reading their responses to the rivalries, I'll get their question up actually. It was very close on track. They had a penalty. Ab, that you guys spoke out about the incident. Are you confident of less incidents going forward? And could this be a star by heated competition between you two? Nick was responding to the press saying that he has that there's nothing to talk about because he complimented Marco being a great driver and racer, and there will be sometimes incidents on track, and a small one like Hannah won't change the respect I have for Marco. And Marco says, I think that when you try hard, mistakes happen sometimes. We learn from them and move forward. I think Nick agrees. On Sunday, we'll see if we can find each other on the track and fight positions again. So good respect between the drivers. No hard feelings. I hope to see Nick and Marco fight on the track again tonight.
Yeah, of course. And you love to see that kind of level of professional sportsmanship and respect between two high-performing drivers, both in Tier 1, obviously, so they're very competitive. And Marco showing that he's definitely got Nick pipped at the moment, but Nick's going to be wanting to fight back and try and see what he can do to get up the order this time. Yeah,
I think, of course, it can get heated here at the moment. You may think, Marco shouldn't have done that, blah, 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 blah. But when you talk it over with them and when they look at the stewards reports and think, actually, I did quite a bad job there, they could learn from their mistakes and they could just concentrate on the races ahead. And I think that a lot of drivers can learn from the likes of Nick and Marco from the way they approach things. So I think we saw last season quite a few drivers with when they got called to the rivalries after each race, and they got very annoyed still, thinking that it was the other driver's fault. But for these two, definitely no bad blood as well. Driver's press conference, Jay Carl was called in, and he was quite surprised, he said, when he was leading the Drivers' Championship in response to the first question. And he was asked if the form could continue like this for the rest of the season and even challenge for the title. He's not sure how long that will last, he says, but he's still going to try and challenge for the title. Good move. And he thinks he might be the last time he'll lead it this season, but only time will tell. He's liked the look of this calendar, but with the drivers that are in this tier, he is not getting his hopes up with that. So quite an open expectation for Jay Carl. But again, with his consistency, he can get up there. And of course, with his teammate missing a few races, he needs to have a good few results to help with the constructors. But good open expectation, Salo, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think at the moment he's a little bit underconfident from what he deserves to give himself. And I think as the season goes on and he sees what he's capable of, I think he's going to build in quiet confidence and start realizing that maybe he actually is in for a shout of staying in the top 3.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've got 3 or 4 drivers or even 5 drivers that are capable of top 3 positions. And if J. Cole's one of those drivers where we were mentioning it in the pre-race show, J. Cole's one of those drivers that he's quick, but he's also a good racer as well. There are some drivers that are quick, but their racecraft is a bit meh. I've seen that in quite a few leagues. Not one hub, but in other leagues where we've seen people like that. So J. Cole has that experience. He's a really experienced league racer, and we will have to wait and see what happens. But the drivers, they're getting ready to start racing. Before we go through the sponsors, I'm going to throw it over to you. Who is your winner, do you think, for the P1 tier for round 3?
I think the person I'm going to go for is Axelok. I think he's an absolute dark horse around this racetrack. Hasn't necessarily been confident in himself to be able to pull off that win, but I really think that he's going to be coming after the maximum points today as much as he can, and he's going to put up a really good fight.
So me and Colin went for Axelot earlier on as well. So if Axelot doesn't win, he can blame all 3 of us. But after what we saw with qualifying with Ben Mills has a very good shot. And what we saw in terms of P2 and, of course, real life, the one who starts on pole has a very good shot of winning the race. We saw that with Oscar Piastri. Did lights to flag pretty much for the whole race. So I think it's going to be tough for Ben Mills, but we know we got some very fast drivers. But before we go to the main race action, we got to give thank you to our sponsors. Of course, we got Next Level Racing that are providing a plethora of prizes this season. Those are the prizes that you could win throughout season 27. Thank you very much to them. Of course, we got Pure Sim Gear that are providing 10% off all their gloves and socks by using the code 1HR 10p. And there's also a combined fastest lap and poles award. And at the moment, Jacob is winning that one. And they can win a pair of sim racing gloves or socks. Sim Racing Setups, our newest sponsor to the season. You can get 5% off or an F125 setup bundle by using the code OneHubRacing at checkout. And whoever wins Driver of the Day each week gets a £10 voucher, and Driver of the Season gets a £100 voucher. Of course, we move on to our partners. We've got Vespertine that support our championship apparel and have helped with the payment system this season, and also our partners at SimGrid. Without SimGrid, we'll be filling out forms and spreadsheets for Oblivion, and it'll be an absolute nightmare. And there's plenty of other prizes that the drivers can win this season, including the Going Get Tough award, where if you complete all your pre and post race interviews and you finish outside the top 3, you can get a lovely trophy and a lovely t-shirt as well, which is very comfy, by the way. So adaptive weather system, Salu, is a completely dry race, no cloud in the sky. How is that going to affect our drivers?
I think provided the safety cars remain at bay, they'll have their strategy completely dialed in, and they'll be able to play it to a T as best they can with the dry weather. So as long as they keep it tidy, they'll already have their perfect strategies properly dialed in. There won't be anything to particularly shake it up. So it's all down to on-track pace and trying to keep it as clean as possible.
The drivers have been told to ready up by the tier coordinator, Lukey, so we should be getting underway in just a few moments' time, in about 10 seconds' time. But here we go, less than that. Here we go. The 5 red lights are on here in at the P1 tier for round number 3, and it is go, go, go. Ben has a very good start off the line of Marco. Callum trying to go around the outside of the Aston Martin of Axelot. Couldn't quite do it. Both the Ferraris have had a good start. Nick almost trying to get past his teammate, but Casper has got a very good go away round the outside of Nick in towards turn 3. Lovely stuff. We can see both the Red Bulls trying to go around the outside of one of the McLarens of J. Cole. J. Cole stays ahead, but it is Ben Mills that leads by 4 tenths. Callum on arms right on the back of Axelot, but Axelot trying to defend for his life here. So clean start from all the drivers so far, but it is Ben Mills that has the upper hand. Ricardo gets past Kieran, and they're trying to go side by side. Oh, there was a tiny bit of contact there from those 3 cars there. Is he going to try and go around the outside again? It's Ricardo. It's going to be a tall order. Kieran keeps to his tight line through there, and Kieran just about holds on to a top 11 spot right now, but Ricardo's not going to give up. But make sure you do leave 50% off. But Salo, a very clean start from all involved, but Ben is already pulling away.
Yeah, very tidy from everybody on track on the first lap. It was quite impressive. However, there has been a lot of people trying to make moves here and there, and a tiny bit of contact on the first corner between Callum and Axlock. And then the likes of Ricardo and Kieran putting so much pressure on each other. And the field is still incredibly close together at the moment. So it's going to be interesting to see how far this DRS train goes into the race.
Yeah, we saw plenty of DRS trains in the P2 tier, not necessarily in the P3 tier, but this tier is quite close in terms of pace, especially with the top 5. So I think we're going to see a DRS train that goes out for a long period of time here as they make their way now for the second time of asking in towards turn 10. Mixture of tyres here today. We got half and half pretty much. Majority of people are on the mediums, but we got Axelot, Colin, Nick, Kieran, Lukey and Pelsley on the softs, and we got Alexa, Curry and Chris on the hards, everyone else on the medium compounded tyres, including our top 2, which seems to be working well for the pair of them. The softs could last a bit longer around this track compared to the other tracks on the calendar. It is, of course, a 2-stop race in one-half racing. You have to make 2 stop, but even in F125, it is a 2-stop race anywhere around it. It's really hard to do a 1-stop anyway. But yeah, Ben still leads. Marco trying to close in, but it is not working. But one thing we've noticed in both of our races, the dirty air could play a factor in terms of whether you want to get past. The overtakes, they're going to have to play it smart because they can't just send it into oblivion.
Yeah, definitely, and especially through this middle sector, the dirty air, because you're really relying on every bit of grip that your tyres have and every bit of downforce your car can generate. the dirty air really makes a massive difference through that big windy section in the middle sector. So it makes it very difficult to follow closely and keep the pace up as much as possible. But they're doing a very good job. I mean, Marco being only 3/10 behind Ben Mills, trying to keep up as much as possible and keeping the pressure on. They're still very, very close together, all the way down to 11th position when the DRS finally breaks.
Yeah, I think they got to be careful that they don't run out of DRS. I think Lukey is the first one that's out of the DRS train, so he's struggling a little bit on those soft compounder tyres, which will allow Ricciardo to try and dive it in around the outside in towards turn 1. Nicely done. And one of the other Alpines trying to get past Alexa in towards P15, but Alexa saying thank you very much. He's doing quite well on those hard tyres. He probably wasn't meant to be on the hard tyres, but it's probably a happy mistake, just like we saw with John in the P3 tier earlier on today. But I think we are going to start to see, and around about a lap or two's time, the softs really start to die. The tyre wear around here is absolutely massive. Not as much as Canada, but the softs could go away very, very quickly. So we're going to keep an eye on the gap between that slot and the two medium runners, because if that slot starts to drop away very quickly, that's really going to affect the rest of the field.
Yeah, it's going to be really important for those soft runners to stay in that DRS train and behind another car, just to try and maximize their tire life a little bit.
Casper's
and help them along. Nice one on Casper. As I mean, the field is still incredibly close. The Red Bull's Robite following very closely behind Coley. Looks like he might be trying to make a move on this lap if he can. And there's a big
look
battle.
At this. It's almost 3 wide. Both of the Ferraris trying to get past Casper. Colin doing very well. Nick trying to get past Casper as well. You don't necessarily go for a move there. Casper trying to be very, very brave, but can't quite do it. I think we could see Jaco trying to take the high line off of Casper. Oh, this is great racing between all these guys in the P1 tier so far. They are leaving just enough space. A tiny bit of contact, but they just keep it on the road. But this is really insane stuff. The Ferraris are definitely doing better than what we saw in real life. I could just say that.
Yeah, absolutely. And seeing those Ferraris make that break, both of them together, seemingly working very well together as a team today. And Casper losing out a little bit, but with J. Cole putting so much pressure on him, onto Casper really showing that he's an experienced racing driver by keeping hold of that position in such a challenging position on the racetrack.
Yeah, I think Casper, he probably wanted to climb a bit up, but he's probably just going to find his time. He knows he's going to be on the much better tyre in a few laps' time anyway, so he'll just wait a little bit. Same with Ricciardo. He just got past Lukey, but he's also going to have Pelzy for company as Pelzy goes around the outside of Ricciardo. You do want to leave. You want to leave plenty of space there. You don't want too little space, because there could be contact being made, as Alexa's almost got ahead of Ricciardo, but to no avail, unfortunately. We are starting to see people losing grip on those tyres the more that they are stuck behind another car. The top four are running away with it, and then we got a little train led by Colin, and then we got another train led by Pelzy. So we've got 3 trains going on, quite similar to what we've seen in real life, of course, where we've seen multiple trains going on as well. DRS enabled, we just can't get past at the moment. Expect to see our first soft runners pit at the end of this lap in order to make a 2-stop definitely work and be viably possible. So I think we'll see some drivers pit this lap, but the majority will pit this next lap or the lap after.
Yeah, exactly. And these soft runners, it's surprising to see how much they're fighting with the mediums. The crossover point is well good and gone at this point between the softs and the mediums. But the likes of Lukey trying absolutely desperately to fight for his life. And he's still keeping the performance up, even though he's on 6-lap old soft tyres now.
I think everybody on the softs are doing very well, and the mediums, bless them, are trying to get past the soft runners, but it's very difficult as Casper almost got past Colin, and he does get past Colin. I just saw the aftermath of that, but that was very nicely timed from Casper, and he's up another position. So the soft runners are starting to die off a little bit, and this gives Casper a very good chance to get past Nick. If I was Casper, send that clip if I were you, so I want to use that in the Stewards Room broadcast on Friday. Because that was beautifully timed from Casper. Kieran, though, on the other hand, trying to go for the move. And J. Cole trying to get past Colin. Colin is not liking those softs at all, Salo, at this point.
Yeah, although he's defending like a lion at the moment, trying to keep J. Cole behind him. I'm not sure how long he's going to be able to keep that. And Colin comes into the pits to get rid of those soft tyres.
Yeah.
Assuming that he's going to be diving into a set of hards.
No, medium tyres. As Lukey gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So what?
Lukey.
So that is easy to do. We have warned them in the pre-race show, do not get 10-second penalties. And look what Lukey does, gets a 10-second penalty. I think what Colin has done is he's pitted onto the mediums now, thinking that there's no safety car, so then he could stretch those mediums to around about lap 19-20, go for that undercut, and then go on to the hards until the end of the race, because we know that it's a short track. The pit lane loss is minimal, which means getting the undercut, I think, is even more powerful around here. So for Colin, maybe that could be a smart move for him. We'll see what the front two do. We know that Axelot is going to pit anytime soon, and I'm impressed with Axelot keeping up with the top two on the soft. So if he pits now, he's going to try and make sure he gets a very good advantage. His quali pace maybe not as good as the likes of Ben Mills, but his race pace is absolutely immaculate. It's amazing, and I'm surprised Axelot hasn't come in to the pit lane. Marco making sure Axelot does not get that slipstream, but yeah, I thought Axelot would have come in, because look at Callum unarmed, he's right on the back of him.
Yes, he is. He's incredibly close, although Axelot is fighting as hard as he can. Those softs must be feeling quite unpleasant now.
Safety car! Our first safety car of the evening. Now, what's caused that safety car? I'm just trying to see who has got front wing damage. It's not road bite.
Wing all over the start-finish line, just at the pit entry, so somebody's clearly had a bit of a collision.
I'm just keeping my eye up. Come on, I want cameras, please. It's very hard to tell. It's not Furious. It could be... I don't know. I really don't know at this point. I'm trying to go on board with people.
It's very difficult to see.
Yeah, it is very difficult to see. So we don't know what's called the safety car, but there we go. Our first safety, the ones that just pitted, they're going to be kicking themselves, by the way, because you're going to be losing less time. Oh no, Catherine and Ricardo both got a drive-through for speeding on the safety car, but they got it at an awkward place. I've had experience around here where I got the drive-through at exactly the same place in another league, so that is very harsh from the game to do that. But the ones who have stayed out, this has really helped them. They're all going to dive it in into the pit, Salo, but with the ones that have got their teammates nearby, like Jaco and Callum, that's going to cost at least Jaco. And Callum, that's going to cost him too. He's got a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
That is absolutely devastating for Callum. He's going to be kicking himself about that one. He really didn't need that, and he was fighting so hard to stay in position, but that's really going to harm his race. I wonder if it's still possible to kind of keep in the top five with a penalty like that, given the top five's pace at the moment is quite impressive.
We got our first DNF, Salo. We got Catherine that's retired in the pit lane, so I wonder if she was the one that got front wing damage earlier, or maybe she just wasn't, or maybe because of that driver. Curry's got one as well.
I don't know what's going on at the moment. Penalties are coming in thick and fast.
And he retired in the
especially
pits.
for this. Yeah, I think that might have been a kind of collision between Curry and Catherine. Curry was well far behind when the safety car came out because he was straight in the pits.
They both got drive-throughs as well. So I wonder if they collided during the safety car.
Yeah, they might well have done.
Yeah, obviously we can't tell.
It's difficult to see.
We can't tell as a commentator, but I'm sure we will probably look at that in the Stewards Run broadcast on at some point. Catherine just said in the chat, by the way, the delta is so bad in the middle sector. 1 second you're +2, the next -2. So yeah, it's the middle sector that's cost quite a few drivers out. So yeah, that is a bit of a shame. Unfortunately, the delta cost you to be like that, where you're +2 1 minute and then -2 the next minute, and then boom, you get a penalty, which means they're going to be way off anyway. So pretty much everyone has done at least one stop in this race so far, and we'll get your stops. Pretty much everyone has done one stop except Lukey, who is on 2 stops. Well, I think he did have to pit due to damage. Ricardo had a drive through, but fair play to him for still going. Callum and I'm down to 10 seconds. We'll one for your order. So we've got Ben Mills from Marco, from Axelot, Callum Unarmed, Casper, Nick, J. Cole. J. Cole's surprisingly didn't lose a position after all of that, so he was very lucky. Then we got Collie, Kieran, Pelzy, then Colin. Colin was the biggest loser after that safety car because he pitted to get the undercut and it didn't work because everyone who pitted under the safety car lost less time.
Yeah, that's a shame. Something that you couldn't know, and both of the Ferraris have been on fire a little bit today, and looking like their strategies were going to be on point. But that safety car coming in about a third of the way through the race has really put a bit of a damper on Colin's day. But the likes of Pelzy will be in a very happy position because they've taken a cheaper pit stop, and also they're the biggest gain today with 5 positions gained already. So they're looking for a lot of positions today, and hopefully they can pull it off.
Yeah, I think the safety car has helped quite a few people get back in this one, and I thought we were going to hardly get any safety cars. P1 tier was the only tier last week, 2 weeks ago, to not get a safety car, but it's the complete opposite this week. P1's the only tier to get a safety car, as Ben Mills is going to be the Burt Mylander, and he's going to be controlling the field away as we get through and get underway for the second time of asking then. He's going to warm his tyres up as we enter the last corners of 13 and 14. Of course, DRS won't be activated anymore. We will see as Ricardo and Colin make contact, and both for the world. Ricardo's got a 10-second penalty. But here goes Ben. He's going to go now, and I think that's a smart place to do so because that means not many people are going to get the toe. But one driver that's looking very good is Callum. He definitely wants to make amends after that 10-second penalty. But for the second time, we go green flag racing as they all make their way in towards turn 3. Ricardo is now out of this race, and he must have binned it somewhere, I think, or retired on track. We got Collie and Kieran going side by side. Collie makes his way through over to Abe. He's doing very well on those hard tyres. Jay, Cole and Nick having a bit of a ding-dong battle in towards turn 6. There's some great moves going up there, but again, Ben out on top at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of close racing straight after that restart, and Ben did a good job of keeping the whole field behind him as he restarted in a smart position. It's very difficult to decide where to take that restart on this track, with the last 2 corners being such high throttle. Obviously, you need to let the Nick's gone.
Nick, I think Jaco and Nick made a slight bit of contact, but I don't think there was anything too much. Nick just went into a spin, and that it must be very frustrating. Ferrari's day has gone from bad to worse. They were doing so well as DRS is enabled.
Yeah, that's a big shame for Nick. They were absolutely storming along for the first third of this race. And now to see Colin and Nick having so much trouble now is a bit of a shame for the Ferraris. But obviously that is playing into somebody's good books. Some people have gained positions from the back of that. Pelzy up another position, for example. And hopefully none of the Ferraris took major damage. I'm wondering if Colin has taken some damage. He seems to be struggling a little bit with the rear end of his car.
I wonder if he's got front rear wing damage.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very hard to tell, but I do wonder if he's struggling a little bit. Hopefully not, and that he's still in the race, but fingers crossed he can pull back a couple more positions.
Yeah, I hope he can as well, because it's a shame that Colin is down in turn. But still a long way to go in this race. Anything could happen. We have lost another driver of road bike who had retired from the pit lane. It was a bit of a shame, of course, because we interviewed him earlier on, and he seemed pretty relaxed about this championship as Marco goes around the outside of Ben Mills into the race lead. J. Cole set the fastest lap of the race so far, but Marco, for the first time today, gets the lead from Ben, but we know Ben is going to fight back once Marco's tyres start to die. Lukey, on the other hand, gets past Chris up to 11th. So for the first time in this race, we do have a change of leader.
Yeah, it was a lovely overtake from Marco, nice and tidy, and he does have the benefit of having the tyre advantage over Ben at this moment in time. I'm expecting the kind of crossover for the medium and hard tyres to be somewhere around the 9-lap mark, and then the mediums might start dropping off, and Ben just needs to keep in touch with Marco on the back of his car in that DRS to make the most of when that comes.
Yeah, I think a lot of drivers have got to make the most of certain opportunities, because we could see one driver that could make a mistake. We could see multiple drivers get involved in the incident, and it's about where you are on the track as well. But I think Marco was just at the right place, right time. But I think we could start to see Ben saving his tyres a little bit. I thought we saw Axelot going for the move there, but he couldn't get it done. Marco saved the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Kieran looking very racy on the back of Collie. And what I've noticed around this track, and I think a lot of drivers can agree, the hards take a long time to warm up, especially on the fronts. The only time they're probably warmed up is when it's almost worn those hard tyres. So the ones on the hard are going to struggle to start with, but towards the end of the stint, that's where they're probably going to be a lot better. And I wonder if some people have gone for different tyre pressures for the race, but we'll find out very soon. We just did see someone get the fastest lap. I'm not quite entirely sure who that was. That was Alexa that's get the fastest lap. Don't forget, fastest lap inside the top 10 and fastest lap outside the top 10. Even if someone gets the fastest lap overall, if you get it inside the top 10, you get a point. If you get it outside the top 10, you get a point. That's what saved me earlier, and that's what got me an extra point, which probably gave me an absolute lifeline after a horrific race. I'm almost certain that Nick, Alexa, and Furious and Chris will be wanting to take advantage of that later on to try and make sure that they get some points. Ben Mills almost getting the move on Marco, again saving a little bit on the engine cooling. Kieran, on the other hand, gets past Collie up to 7th.
Yeah, well done, Kieran, for a nice tidy move there. And it's starting to break apart a little bit. The DRS train is now in half, but they're still incredibly close. And I know the likes of Axelot getting past Callum is a big deal. He hadn't got past, and Callum has been trying to keep the pressure on Axelot, desperately wanting to get through. And I know that when you're in this DRS train, like we said earlier, the dirty air is really quite impactful, so it really makes you slow down. So everybody's going to be wanting a little bit of clean air, but they're not going to want to let these people break away from them.
Yeah, they can't afford to, especially when those mediums start to wear off in about 5 or 10 laps time for these guys. And for some drivers, including myself, the softs, I didn't have a chance to go on the softs very much at the start of the race because we know what happened. The softs tend to be a lot better than the mediums in some cases, but again, it does depend on your tyre pressures. So the mediums are going to be an absolute nightmare for some drivers, as we've seen a bit of lock-up going into turn 1 for a lot of these guys. But just look at that DRS train that pretty much from P1 all the way up to P6, pretty much any one of those top 6 could win this race. Callum is going to hope that he gets another safety car so he can get rid of that 10-second time penalty, because you have to serve it. Speeding in the pit lane penalties, you can't get it removed, and it will get served anyway, so of course it won't get removed. Served penalties won't get removed, so Callum's got a lot of work to do, and we know that Callum is quicker than Axelot on his day, but Axelot is giving these guys a run for their money. Casper as well, I have to say, Casper is having probably one of his best races of the season, and he will take that. He likes this track, and he seems to me he's doing a lot better in terms of race pace and quali pace right now.
Yeah, and especially as he's got so much ERS. He's sitting in the back of this DRS train, or in the middle of this DRS train, being able to keep the pace up and save as much ERS as possible. I can't imagine it's going to be that long before he's going to start pushing and trying to take some of those overtakes.
Yeah, I think, speaking of overtakes, Salu, we've got Ben Mills getting the lead back for Marco. So I wonder if those mediums are starting to die off a little bit earlier than we thought around this track at Zandvoort, which I think they are as well. Ben Mills has hardly used any ERS, but Marco's used quite a bit. in this race. So I think advantage Ben Mills so far in this race so far, because he's keeping this race under control. He knows he doesn't need to be in the lead all the time. As long as he's in the lead towards the end of the race, so he can afford to push just a little bit right now, as there's quite a few other drivers around this track. We've got 15 drivers, as we can see, as Callum has had a bit of a spin, Salo.
Oh, that's such a shame. He was keeping the pressure on so well on Axelock, trying to recover from the devastating 10-second grid penalty. But it looks like it's all tumbled away from him a little bit. He's still up in the points at the moment, but we'll see how much the field can separate a little bit towards the end of the race.
Yeah, I think that 10-second penalty has hurted him, and I think he just got a bit too throttle happy, and I'm surprised he hasn't come in and gone on to a set of hards. Maybe he hasn't got some set of hards left, but he's trying to make his way up through the field, but I think it's damage done, unfortunately, as well. I think it's going to be quite tough for him to climb his way up the championship order, and especially since he's going to be missing a few races very soon. So that's going to leave his teammate with a lot of work to do going into the rest of the season. But that has allowed Casper to move up into 4th place. He is doing very well so far and binding his own time. Kieran and Pelzy as well. Pelzy is doing absolutely great in that kick Sauber as he makes his way towards the next set of turns too. We've seen quite a few underdog stories tonight in all 3 tiers, and Pelzy being one of them in 7th. Kieran staying where he is in 6th. Both racing balls actually doing very, very well. It's not going to be that long before the ones potentially on the mediums could go and onto a set up the hard tyres, but because since we had that safety car, if they have a spare set of mediums left, maybe they could stretch these mediums for a little bit longer for a few laps and then go on to a second set of mediums.
And they might want to do that, especially if they're playing with the likes of Ben Mills, who's likely to have a set of mediums waiting for him for the last stint of the race. And we're on that crossover point now. I think the hards are going to start getting faster than the mediums, so the medium runners are going to start struggling a little bit more. And Ben, at this rate, he's not making any mistakes, and he is keeping the pressure on. His ERS management is incredible, so he might start pulling away a little bit from Marco. And Marco's going to push as hard as he can to stay up there with him.
Yeah, I think Marco is not going to give up without a fight. Of course, the top 2 in the race are the only 2 drivers to win a race this season, and we could see a repeat winner, but we know Axelot and Casper want to spoil the party. Of course, in the P3 tier, we had our first different winner, and I think we're the only tier, the P1 tier, the only tier to have different winners, so we could see our first repeat winner of Ben Mills or Marco, or we could see Axelot that are waiting for any one of those 2 drivers to make a mistake. As will we see any one of the medium runners drive it into the pits for a set of the hard tyres? Nope, they're staying out, so I'm strongly suggesting they're going to stretch it out for a set of the mediums, which is doable.
Yeah, and you're starting to see the people towards the back end of the grids take their second pit stops. You've got the likes of Kieran taking a new set of mediums, Colin a lap ago taking hards, J. Cole on hards. So they're starting to go in now. But I'm expecting either this lap or next lap, some of these medium runners are going to start to want to try and get an undercut on the hard runners.
Yep, I agree with that. And to be honest, I'm not surprised that the likes of Jaco and Callum have come in. I didn't really see them come in, to be honest, but I think I was mainly concentrating on the front runners go through. So hopefully with the undercut, this could allow Colin to climb his way back into this one. Same with J. Cole too. So they could work together, potentially. Only one way to find out as we head to the latter stages of the race, and we know those hards could get to the end, but it's going to be an absolute nightmare. It's going to be cooked in towards the last few laps. What will Marco and Axelot do in response to this? What will Casper do? What will the ones on the mediums do after seeing the likes of Jaco and Colin come into the pit lane? They're not going to respond to it. They're staying out. They figure that there could be another safety car involved coming up soon. Palsy's a little bit too further behind these guys. Palsy, though, is taking that advantage, though, and coming in.
Yeah, I think that's a good move from Pelzy, taking that undercut, especially over the other medium runners. So he might be able to play a little bit of catch up and get back into that DRS train if he's got a solid enough outlap. Especially if anybody makes any mistakes with their dwindling tires, and they're going to be struggling a little bit on the back end, and their front left especially is going to be absolutely screaming by now on those mediums, probably somewhere around 50-60%. So they're going to have to be very careful. Pelzy is in for a chance of catching up a little bit.
I think he is. And from experience, I pitted, I think it was end of lap 1 for a set of the mediums. And I was stretching those mediums to a lap for the end of lap 14. And they were like at 70% after like 12 laps. So at this point, is depending on the driver's style, it's going to be around about in the 50s, 60s or 70% mark, and depending on how aggressive your style is. And Marco has decidedly go into the pits, and I think that's a very smart move of him. I think his tyres would have been dying right now, and he's going on to a set of the hard compounded tyres. But I think if you pit from the next lap onwards, I think the only shot will be the medium. So I think him going into the pits now probably would have been a regretful decision if a safety car comes out, but he was probably struggling on those hards, and he would have lost a lot of time to Ben Mills. But Ben Mills is on a league of his own now. You can already see the hards definitely the much better tyre, 1.7 seconds, and he's going to be on the fresher mediums later on. I don't think anyone other than Ben is going to win this one, unless we can see a very tight undercut from Marco.
Yeah, and I think Marco's in for a shot of a solid undercut, actually, because he's come out just ahead of the Ferrari of Nick, which means he's got a fairly big area of clean air to be able to keep that pace up. So I think once his tyres are warmed up, he's going to be able to get the throttle down and really wring the neck of that car to try and get that undercut on Ben.
And speaking of Ben, he comes in. Ben comes into the pits. So he doesn't want to lose time on that undercut even longer. So let's watch Marco in just a minute. We've got the Aston Martin garage coming in as well. Casper stays out. Has we got a yellow flag? Don't know what that's for. That's probably...
Oh, Furious is around on the second to last corner. It looks like his car's annihilated.
Yeah, it looks an absolute nightmare. Luckily, no safety car, though, which I think is an absolute relief. But it's very close between Axelot and Marco coming out of the pit. Axelot's going to be on newer tyres. That helped him. Axelot just about got ahead of Marco, but it is Ben Mills with the overcut that leads this race again.
Wow, I was very much expecting it to be a little bit closer than that. Ben Mills has come out miles ahead.
2 seconds? No, actually more than that.
Yeah, and a couple of cars in between, so they're going to really put a damper on Marco's day. He would have been hoping to be right behind Ben and not with anybody. He's got the likes of Case on old tyres, so Axelot might be able to drag him along a bit with those fresh medium tyres. But Case on 14-lap olds are going to hold these people up a little bit by the look of it.
Yeah, I think, Nick, fair play for him staying on 14-lap on hards, but I think we've seen that in both races where we've seen, I think was it John that was on the hards for like 16, 17 laps or whatever, and was able to make it work. So if anyone could do it, well, Nick could do it, as Chris comes into the pits from his mediums, and I think, yeah, another set of mediums because he goes on balance, and there's no problem at all there for the driver in the Aston Martin that has just made a return to One Hub Racing this season. So just 3 or 4 drivers yet to make their second stop here this evening, as we've got Nick and Collie yet to stop. Same with Casper. Everyone else has done 2 stops. Your net race leader is Ben Mills in P1, Axelot in P2, and Marco in P3. But Marco is going to hope that Axelot's tyres start to die very soon. And then we got Kieran, who's in a net P4 right now. Casper comes into the pits.
Yeah, it's all heating up a little bit. Strategy is really starting to play out and mix the field up just a little bit. And I can't see Nick going much longer on these tyres, as he's coming into the pits now. Kieran passed Nick then, and Marco now just needs to try his best to stay within the DRS of Axlock to be in with a shout of a podium. The medium tyres at the moment showing very much that they're the faster tyre.
Casper's on softs. Well,
that does surprise me. I reckon with some people's tyre wear, you could probably make them last around 10 laps. But that does surprise me that they'd want to do that. He's obviously hunting for some points and positions, hoping that he can get ahead and then hold the field up with a strong defence towards the end of the race.
We did see quite a few people in the real-life race, didn't they? Not going to name names that made the soft strategy work before the safety car. So if anyone could make it work, Casper could. And he's 6 tenths behind Marco, so he could be in a very good shot of the podium. I'm liking this gambler strategy from Casper, so fair play to him. I wouldn't have gone for it personally, but on low fuel usage, softs are a lot better at the end of the race than the start of the race. And we know that the softs can last 8 or 9 laps. So I think from lap 33 onwards, Casper's going to struggle. But Casper gets past Marco up into P3, and that was an easy move. I don't think Marco thought that, because Marco might close up to Casper in the closing stages of the race. Collie comes in into the pits, so it's just Alexa that is still yet to make his final stop.
Yeah, I think Casper is really trying to maximise those soft tyres, getting past Marco so quickly. But Marco's playing the long game. He's got 10 laps to wait for this race to come back to him, or wait for the podium to come back to him. He doesn't need to hold Casper up at all. He's just got to wait for Axlock's tyres to hopefully go off a little bit, and Casper's, and he can hopefully get stay well within that DRS, and he'll be aiming for second position right now, I think.
Yeah, second position is the goal for Casper. I mean, he's made some great moves of the season. Quite a few moves that we missed, understandably, because there was so much going on. But Casper is on the charge. He wants to score as many points as he can. Through goes Casper Klein, up into P2 on those softs, and he can't afford to be pushing for too long, because otherwise those softs will die a little bit. But he's already 3.1 seconds behind Ben Mills. If he gets a safety car, this could be golden opportunity for Casper to win this one, but he can still win this one outright even without a safety car. So 2.9 seconds. Ben Mills must be feeling very worried at the moment. And for me, I've noticed that the softs and the mediums don't have that much of a difference, as Furious is out of the race, and look at that! Safety car!
Another safety car.
And that was due to Furious spinning it. Final corner.
I'm very much expecting pretty much everybody to see if they can get a fresh set of tyres on now. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a load more soft runners, given that they've only got 8 laps to go. Everybody should be on softs now. Yeah, exactly.
If I was Casper,
then
I
it
would
really
come in
will be
again.
a fight. Yeah, I would as well. If he's got another fresh set of softs to play with, I would do the same as Casper.
And don't forget, we had the lobby restart, so they would have 3 or 4 sets of softs. I don't think Casper started on the softs, so he should have like 2 or 3 softs left. So if I was Ben, I would come in. So Casper's seeing Ben go in. Oh, Casper's staying
Casper's
out.
opted to keep position. He's opted to take the lead and hope that he's going to be able to nurse these tyres to the end of the race.
Oh, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done that personally, but like the real life race, he probably sees that track position is more important, so that's why he's gone with track position, which is fair enough. Collie, though, he has stayed out. He has stayed out, and he's going to be in P3. Oh, Lukey. Lukey's got a 10-second penalty.
Oh, no. I mean, Collie's in for an absolute treat by the look of it. If he can keep those soft runners behind him, he's got real shout. He's not got that long to fight, so with the right ERS management, and there not being a huge amount of overtaking opportunities around this track, Collie might be onto a winning strategy there.
A winning strategy? Because those tyres could last for the rest of this race, whereas the softs are going to be even more tricky. Chris has done the same thing. Chris has stayed out on the mediums. So we got...
Yeah, and I think at this point, if you're on those mediums, it makes sense with them being so fresh only a few laps for Chris and 2 laps for Collie. It makes sense. The soft tyres are going to be screaming towards the end of the race. So they might just have a shot of gaining a couple of extra positions.
We don't know how it's all going to fare out, and that makes it all exciting. Let us know in the chat, guys, who you think is going to win this one. Make sure you leave us a like on this stream and hit that notification bell if you are new, if you're watching it back from YouTube. Of course, follow us at One Hub Racing on Twitch, X, Instagram, TikTok, and also you could join our Discord server. And I wait to see what's the pit stops. Okay, those are your pit stops. So Casper has made 2 stops as well as Collie. Everyone else has done more than 3 stops. Haluki is going to make a 4th one, understandably, to serve his 10 seconds. If you got a spare set of softs, why not? You're last anyway. Go for it.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, in the position that Lukey found himself in with a 10-second penalty, he might as well just try and take those softs and get as fresh a set as possible. So he's going to be on slightly fresher tyres than everybody else and hopefully get that fastest lap for an additional point.
Which could mean everything in the long run. He's done 5 stops, bless him. You got to feel bad for Lukey. But if you're having a bad race, why not try and go for fastest lap? But he's not going to have clear air, so it's going to make things life a lot difficult. So we'll get the fastest lap point stuff for you. So fastest lap inside the top 10 belongs to Ben Mills by quite some way, 10.5. And then the next one is Casper with a 10.6. And then the next one is 11.2 from Axelot. So those are your top 3 at the moment. Outside the top 10, your fastest lap belongs to... it belongs to Nick that gets the fastest lap point at the moment. But we know Nick and Nick have a rivalry, so we know those things are going to change anytime soon. So, yeah, fastest lap point inside and outside the top 10. And if you do get the fastest lap point, you get entered into the Speedster Award. And if you get the most for a lot of the season, you will get socks or gloves from Pure Sim Gear. Massive shout out to them. Jacob is in the lead for that one. But you never know after today, Ben Mills, if he gets the win and, well, he's got pole, but if he gets another win, he could be tied with Jacob.
Yeah, and it's an all-important little competition within a competition, and everybody likes to try and make sure that they're able to have a chance at winning any prizes they can. And not only do you get the prize, but you also get the props. So everybody that's in contention for that is going to want to try and get hold of that fastest lap trophy.
Yeah, I think sometimes you think you're not going to get top 3, but you want to try and get some other prizes as well, which is why we like what we do at One Hub Racing. We provide prizes to everybody. So safety car, I think, Salu, should come in at the end of this lap, I think. So I think Casper will lead the field away soon. I'll be surprised if it doesn't, which means we'll have 5 laps, well, probably less than that. 4 laps of racing. And yes, safety car is in this lap. And for the first time, Casper will lead the field away on 5 lap old softs. That's going to be crying for mercy. Ben Mills, if I was him, you got to get the move done straight away. And if he doesn't, it's going to be a lot difficult to pass.
Yeah, I think Casper has the benefit of having 2 of those laps or 3 of those laps behind safety car, so it shouldn't be too terrible for his tyre life. However, he's obviously on older tyres regardless, so he's going to have a fight on his hands. But the longer that safety car went out, Casper would have been rubbing his hands together, trying to make sure that his tyre life can maintain right to the end. As he goes ahead, gets a little bit of a jump on Ben Mills by the look of it.
He does. He really does. And Casper's restart was absolutely perfect, as everyone else is struggling, as Axelot trying to go to the right-hand side of Collie on those soft tyres. It's going to be really hard for him to do so. Collie's trying to defend for his life, as Collie has gone round into the gravel, similar to what we saw Max Verstappen do in real life. He's dropped down into 8th place, and the ones on the softs, they keep just to the ones on the medium. So Axelot up into 3rd. Casper still in P1, but Ben Mills is hungry to get this race win, and he's right on the back of them. But Marco, again, also on the back of Axelot. Wow.
Yeah, that was a surprisingly messy restart when they got around the first few corners. There were a few people in the grass knocking some of the breakboards down. Now you find both of the McLarens right at the back of the grid, and that's a very surprising thing given how well J. Carl and Callum have been doing this race.
Yeah, and I think it was quite messy, but the main reason why it was messy is because there's a lot of people trying to claim so many positions, and it's not that long to the end of the race. Everyone has a shot of winning this race, so why not try and go for the positions? But DRS is enabled. Axelot almost got past Ben Mills as well, so I wonder if Axelot was saving a bit on his tyres. Could we see Axelot get his first win in the top tier in a while? J. Carl and Callum go for in the pits, and I know what they're going to do. They're going to do exactly what I did in P2. They're going to go for the fastest lap.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, Axelot really putting the pressure on Ben Mills, trying to make sure that he can get maximize that podium position. But he is under a lot of pressure from Marco right now, all over the back of that gearbox, and probably filling Axelot's mirrors and making him a little bit nervous. He needs to try and keep cool and keep the pressure on the cars ahead and not worry so much about the guys behind.
Yeah, I think Axelot has just got to stay focused at this point, hoping that the top team make a mistake and he could be in a good shot with this, because if he makes a mistake, that could allow Marco to do well as well. Not that long to go until the end of this one. Who's going to win? Ours on a postcard. Casper's doing a really great job trying to hold on to this one. He's defending for his life, but he knows his tyre are going to be primed for mercy. Here comes Ben Mills to the inside. He takes the lead away from Casper, and Axelot goes round the outside of Casper and gets P2 away from Casper, and Axelot sets his sights for winning this race. Axelot says he likes his track according to the pre-race interviews, but he's got to walk the walk now. He's going to see if he can try and beat Ben Mills, but I think that's going to be a tall order, because look at how far away Ben Mills is pulling away right now.
Yeah, Ben Mills definitely seems to be very cool, calm, and collected at the moment. But he's on equal equipment essentially with the same tires, or same age of tires as Axelot. And Axelot isn't going to let him go without a fight. And it was wonderful to see him capitalizing on that just a tiny little mistake from Casper into the first corner with a little lockup. And he just took the opportunity immediately with so little time left on this race, and the grid so close together. Any mistake is going to be a devastating thing for you.
It's going to be an absolute nightmare, isn't it? So if I was Axelot, stay within DRS and save a bit of battery, maybe wait for the final lap potentially. We don't know. It is not over until the fat lady sings. Nick, by the way, gets past Chris up into 10th. By the way, Colin has had a very good recovery up into 6th place. We said the Ferraris were doing well at the start, but they messed up in the middle. But towards the end, Colin is having a very good recovery, which shows that he's been having really good pace in this race so far. So we'll watch Colin making his way through in towards turn 6 now. But there's hardly any moves being made at the moment. Axelot's starting to find his pace a bit more, so I wonder if he was doing a smart thing and trying to save his tyres. We don't know, but he seems to be struggling a little bit in at the middle sector. That's where Ben Mills is really starting to pull the pressure in on Axelot. So we'll see what happens. Even Casper could still have a shot of winning this one. Callum, by the way, gets the fastest lap with a 10.0, which is insane, which is what some people have done in qualifying in all 3 tiers tonight. But we're about to start the final lap. Could Axelot pull a late lap charge, or will it be Ben Mills for the taking? In my opinion, it's Ben Mills for the taking, but you never know with Axelot. He could try and pull off a challenge to Ben Mills on the final lap. Here he comes. I don't think he's going to do it though.
Yeah, he had a little peek just to fill the mirrors of Ben Mills, but Ben is doing very well on ERS management, so he has lots to fight with, and he's doing an incredible job of keeping Axelot behind him in his mirrors.
Yep, he is. And we're seeing quite a few fights happening in the background as well with Marco as he tries to challenge Casper for a podium. And fair play to Casper. I think him staying out has probably worked in his favour, but maybe he could have challenged Ben Mills for the win if he went into the pits too. You never know, but you never know what could have gone right until you've actually done it as well. Axelot, I don't think he's going to be that close enough. He's tried his best, bless him. So unless he can get a photo finish and save his ERS, or if Ben makes a mistake, I don't know. But Ben Mills has driven absolutely sensational today. He played the strategy right, barely made any mistakes, and for the first time in P1 tier, we're going to have a repeat winner. Ben Mills wins here in Zandvoort. Axelot takes his first podium of the season, and Casper joins him. Marco in fourth, but he just missed out on the podium by 7/100ths of a second. Kieran and Colin gets great results in fifth and sixth. Collie's got a decent result as well. Who's going to get fastest lap? At the moment, it belongs to Callum, but can J. Cole have something to respond to? We don't know. He's got to find 6/10 of a second, which is going to be a tall order, I think, at the moment. But we never know with J. Cole. Both McLarens have had a day to forget right now, which is an opposite of real life. Can J. Cole get fastest lap? No. Fastest lap outside the top 10 belongs to Callum. Fastest lap inside the top 10 belongs to Casper. So that's your order then. Ben Mills, another race win for him. He didn't get the fastest lap though, but he's got the win and 20 extra points that he desperately needs in this championship.
Yeah, that was excellent to see, and everybody was really pushing, getting a little bit desperate for positions, but not playing it desperately. So trying to be safe as possible. And I know Marco will have been biting his tongue, trying desperately to get past Casper at the very last minute there, but he just couldn't do it. And I think it was a bit of a masterclass from Casper there.
Yeah. It's going to be really tough to decide who is going to be driver of the day. In my opinion, it's got to go to one of the top three, but I don't know who to give it to. But luckily, I've still got time. So here's your order then, from first down to last. We've got Ben Mills, your race winner once again, but Axelot pulled off a very great fight in second, had really great pace. Casper in third. Then we got Marco, Kieran, Colin, Collie, Alexa, Nick, Lukey, Chris. Then we got Pelzy, your final point scorer, and then Cameron with the fastest lap in 14th, Jaco in 13th. For your three DNFers, well, lots of DNFers actually. Furious, Robite, Ricardo, Curie, and Catherine. Of course, Curie and Catherine retired because they got drive-through penalties that they think they couldn't salvage from. But we had another safety car. You never know, they could have. So we're going to have to choose our sim racing setups driver of the day. We have to pick one each. And since you're the guest, my friend, Salu, I'll let you go first. Who's your driver, the sim racing setup driver of the day? And what would you like to ask him?
Well, I think I'm going to have to go for the man that has impressed me the most today, and it's Casper. He's really showed his experience this race and kept his pace up and made some bold but solid choices for his strategy when the safety cars come out. So I think him being able to pull off that podium has been a very impressive show from Casper today. And I think my question for him is a basic one, in that did he really think at the beginning of this race that he'd be fighting for the podium, if not a little bit more? Because his pace was definitely up there. But with the likes of Ben Mills and Axelot ahead of him, did he think that he could keep up with them?
To be honest, I was going to go for Casper, so you kind of nicked my driver of the day pick. Thank you very much. But yeah,
You're welcome.
Casper, well deserved driver of the day nomination as well. I've already said it was going to be between the top two because Ben Mills drove superbly. But I sometimes go boy and go for the race winner. I'm going to go for Axelot because Axelot had a lot of pressure going on around him, defended off loads of people, even made the overtake on Marco work, hardly made any mistakes, and I'm going to have to give the driver of the day to Axelot today. And my question for him, you had good, in your pre-race interview, you said you had a good pace around it. You definitely walked the walk tonight. How does it feel to get your first podium this season? And did you think the win was on the cards at last safety car, or were you just fighting for the podium? So that was my question to Axelot. Ben, you were a close second, but Axelot getting a first podium was my driver of the day nomination for me. But that was the end of the race. Of course, Mike wasn't able to make it tonight, and he missed a really great race. He'll be back next week, but Salo, for your first commentary, you did a great job. How did you find that race?
I thought that race was pretty much exciting from start to finish. It was incredibly close, and you just knew that any tiny little mistake, if somebody touched the grass, then there would be changes of position. Lots of different ideas for strategy, and the on-the-fly strategy is what really makes it interesting for me. When the safety car comes out, trying to see how they're going to try and get the better of each other. And I think this was a race that was filled with interesting decisions and the odd person making a bold decision. To see if it'll pay off for them, and it's really exciting to see that.
Yeah, I liked your approach, actually, your thoughts going into this one. And of course, next week we go racing again at the same track that the real life F1 drivers are going to. It's like we're following them all of a sudden. We go to Monza on the 7th of September. That turn one's going to be, I think, quite interesting entertainment in that one. And I think the saying that Colin said, the race is not. They're not won in lap one, but it could be over in lap one. It's definitely a thing. I think we could see quite a lot of drivers taking engine penalties. Maybe not gearbox, but I think we can see a lot of people taking engine penalties next week. That is my prediction, because I think people can make a lot of overtakes at Monza.
Yeah, and racetracks like that, the lower downforce racetracks, tend to be a favourite for people using their engine and gearbox penalties. And I think it makes sense given that there's so much straight line, so many DRS opportunities, and heavy braking. So you've got a couple of overtaking opportunities at the end of DRS zones as well. So I think it's a good shout for a lot of people to take their penalties on a race like Monza. But like you say, I think turn one is going to be a very interesting one. It's always a little bit sketchy. As you've got 20 cars barreling into a really hard braking point second gear. And I think that's really going to be where the race starts properly, the moment they hit that first corner.
Yeah, so make sure you do join us for Monza next week. Of course, you catch the other tiers with Nick back in the box at 4:30 with P3, 6 p.m. for P2 with Jaco and Jamie, and Mike will be back in the box with me at 7:30 on next Sunday for Monza with the P1 tier. So the story today: Ben Mills remains supreme even after the summer break. Absolutely incredible for Ben Mills. Will he be able to keep up his form heading into Monza, or the likes of Marco, Axelot, Callum, or any other driver could challenge him? I've been Jess Ball. He's been Salo. We will see you next week. I mean, there's also the Stewards Room stream on Friday at 7 p.m. But take care, everyone. Thanks to all our sponsors, Next Level Racing, Pure Sim Gear, Sim Racing Setups, Vespertine, and SimGrid. We hope you have a good evening, and we will see you next time for some more racing around Monza. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.